Welcome to the second episode of BAC Bitches Analysis Corner. I am Lindsey Simpson, your host, for lack of a better word. This is our second episode. I've got some wine. My other pals here have some beverages of their choice. Please feel free to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Martha Connolly. I have played for Boston Riot, ECQ, QCB, Gulf Coast Gumbo for a hot second, but my forever home is with the Lost Boys here in LA. Pronouns are she, her.
I'm Zehner. Pronouns are she, her. I've played for Utah State Quidditch Club for 4 years now, and now I'm going into my 5th year, and I don't know what team I'm playing with this year because I'm going to be graduated, so we'll see.
Well, I'm praying that Salt Lake City has their own team.
Yes, that's what I'm hoping for.
I am Dana, pronouns they, them, theirs. I have played for 3 years, mainly on UCLA, and I also just graduated from there, so I'll be playing club in the fall for my 4th season for the Lost Boys. I also played for the MLQ Guardians the last time they existed, rip in peace, and then Aftershock as well.
How could I forget?
Okay, so thank you for being here, and thank you for everyone who's tuning in. We are going to hop right into things. So for this game, we are looking at the 2019 West Regional Championship game between Cal Quidditch and Utah State Quidditch. Amber played in this game. I believe Martha, Dana, and I are on the sideline of this game, watching it at maybe. Just for context, normally I have a job where I run the video, but we're having some Wi-Fi issues, and Martha's on an Ethernet, so Martha's going to try to run it, and I will just be sitting here and trying to be productive otherwise. So let's just get this started, and hopefully that the video quality will record well. What I try to do is when I know them is point out the starters. So it looks, I think for Utah State starting is Cameron Vombar, Anthony Snap, Drew Smith. I think it's Anna and Amber. Do you know who else on the starting line?
Yeah, that's all of them. And Paul Marigold.
Oh, Paul, okay. And then Cal, I did not see all their numbers, and I don't know who's on their starting line.
Well, both teams are running a dual male set, which I think is important to point out early on. I think that has a lot to do with the way that both teams play their offense, but they handle it very differently.
Yeah.
Cal's starting line is Ryan Fenning, Maddi Erdall, Connor Hughes.
Morgan's on there because 22 is.
Yeah. And so what is Ivan's last name? I always forget his last name. Ivan Avalos, and Connor Hughes are the beater pair.
Gotcha.
It looks like Cal has control right now.
Yeah, and
USQC just gained it.
Up here.
Yeah, it looks like Snap just got it.
And
Yep,
then,
Snap just gained control. And Cam emphasized on it, but the hoop knocked over.
Yeah, I mean, he also didn't have much support there.
Yeah.
Kind of went in on his own, so there's really not much.
And it looks like Cal has control again.
Yeah, I know it bounces back and forth quite a bit during this game.
Yeah, it's like, I honestly watch a lot more beater play during Chaser.
The Chaser play in this game is boring in comparison to the beater play. No offense, Chasers.
And Maddi Erdall is behind the hoops like usual. She's really effective there.
Fenning creeping in.
And passing to Maddi.
So
and it's a goal.
Yep.
I love Maddi Erdall.
Realistically, like that offense should work once.
That it should be shut down.
And then they should figure it out. Utah doesn't figure it out quite as quickly in this game, but
I'm just going to point out that it's Utah State because Utah's a different team.
I'm so sorry. Utah State.
Cameron is rubbed off on me, and so I have to do that.
No, you know
Also,
what? You're valid.
The thing with Cal is like they're really deadly because like no matter which like female or non-binary chaser you leave unmarked, they're gonna score. Like it's brutal because like if he doesn't pass to Maddi, you can pass to number 22, AJ Morgan, and like you choose to cover AJ, then Maddie's open and Maddi will score. You choose to cover Maddi and AJ's open and AJ will score if they distribute. Like that's why Cal's so lethal because they use like their female chasers. And they always run double males, so they almost always have like 2 female chasers and then their crazy double mail set.
Well, I think when I watched this game before this, the thing that I noticed is that it's maybe not even necessarily the double mail so much as the fact that like Maddi is absolutely unguardable. Like there are a few plays later in here where there's someone marking her and she just gets right away from them so quickly. Like it's when you have another non-guard, she's so hard to guard.
Yeah.
I can point out from personal experience trying to guard her during this game, she is so good.
Yeah.
And so hard to try and guard.
Yeah, the second
She just moves around so much and knows when to be open at the right moment.
Yeah, the timing of her cuts is like impeccable.
Yeah.
Oh.
This has actually become the Maddi Erdall fan club.
I also want to point out, while we have a second here, is that Utah State has 12 players on their roster for this game, and Cal Quidditch has 21 players on their roster for this game. I'm curious if a college team, or any team, has won a regional championship with 12 players on their roster, other than Utah State. That's my big question. Okay, back
That's
to
a
the
good question.
That's a good question.
I mean, they make up for it in energy. Like, you can tell
Later in
Utah
the
State has so much more energy, and you can tell when Cal starts to fall apart and, like, they can't
Absolutely.
come back.
We always talk about that before games, how we're like Utah State is known for their hype. And so we just like always hype each other up, and that energy just continues into the game.
And, like, that's how y'all beat us, beat UCLA the game before, because, like, Ryan Harris was like, oh, they have seniors and they won it really badly. And we had a 21-person roster, and, like, the energy was not there, and you can tell. Because, like, for the first 10 minutes, we weren't doing, like, jack shit and didn't have the energy. And, like, Utah State had 12 and we had 21, but they had the energy.
Yeah. They also have two like drivers. Utah State has multiple drivers on their team, which is something that Cal doesn't really have in comparison. So when Fennon gets gassed, that's it. You know?
Mhm.
It looks like Utah State has control currently.
Mhm. Drives right, up and over.
Yeah.
It started off as a great defense, but
Who's number 0 there?
Eli Phipps.
Eli.
I just want to point out that our defense definitely was not very strong during that point. Usually when our point defense gets beat out, we usually have somebody right up there to like recover that. But this time, I think one of us was on Eli. I think that's who we just said. And then we had somebody else on number 8, I'm assuming. So Maddi. So we just didn't have anybody there to recover and cover Fenning.
I mean, he's
Is it
still
Fenning has-
pretty far out, so.
Yeah, but like the thing with Fenning is like he has long shots, and if he has a lane, he's gonna take the lane.
Oh yeah.
And Semi can cuss you in the process. Okay, Cal has control. Utah advancing down the field. Is that Cam who's keeping?
And no, Kellen has
Kellen.
subbed in.
Kellen, okay.
Yeah, Kellen subbed in.
I can't see the, it's like the white is like hard for my
Yeah.
eyes to read.
Also, the jerseys all look the same.
Oh my gosh, Bludger. Oh, that long beat on Ryan by
Yeah, it
Utah
was a beautiful
State.
snipe.
Incredible.
We have a few of those good snipes.
Goal is no good.
There's not a real control of the pace here. It's just kind of a flip-flop for a little bit. Probably
Yeah.
because both of the teams rely so heavily on the ball carrier that it's really easy to get flipped into that sort of
Yeah.
And same thing with beater control. It's just like ping-ponging back and forth. 'Cause
Which
they're
is
both
probably why
like-
people enjoyed watching this game so much, because it felt really close.
Right. I was going to point that out. Like, for at least the first 10 minutes of the game, like, Utah State, like, hadn't scored for at least the first, like, 8 minutes or I think 10 minutes. But it felt like they were neck and neck, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, that kind of energy, like, really fucks up the team that's ahead. We've been there. UCLA's made that mistake, and then we've lost because of it. Or it felt really scrambled when we were up by, like, 5, but it didn't feel that way.
Mhm. Also doesn't help when the whole region is rooting for the underdog team on the sidelines. It couldn't have been fun for Cal.
I mean, I was, like, cheering for both teams. I, like, just who like made a good play. Like if Maddi did something amazing, like I'm gonna scream for Maddi.
I got fully soaked into the Utah State hype for this, I won't lie. Some good beater battles there.
A lot of stoppages in this game.
There were quite a few.
Trying to see who has control. I think Utah State might have control right now.
I think we just gained control from this stoppage, actually.
Right, because I think, I can't see the number, but the Utah State beater that was in the back, like he just recovered a bludger and then the play stopped.
Oh yeah,
That
I
was
see you
Drew.
back there. That's Drew back there?
I think that was Drew back there who had run back. No, Adam. That is Adam in the sweatpants.
I was gonna say sweatpants.
Oh no, they don't. Cal must have control.
That is Adam. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Also like to point out that this is his first season playing, and he stepped up so big during this game.
we love to see that.
We do.
We love like a rookie. Ivan beats the point out, trying to make a lane for Ryan. Maddie's lurking behind the hoops.
Kellen steps up, but
Oh my
And that's-
god.
the shot was
really
good
close
though.
to that block,
Like those
but-
plays shouldn't work.
No.
And they just keep working.
Well, it's hard because they send both Maddie and Eli back there.
Yeah,
So
the pass-
you have to pick the lesser of two evils, and
I mean, the pass is almost always going to Maddie, though. I think the only goal that Eli has had so far was a pickup on an overshot from Fanning. Maddie's had 2 crisp catching finishes.
this is their timeout. At this point, it's 30-0, but you wouldn't think that based on the energy of Utah State.
Especially Devin coming out onto the pitch. That was great.
I feel like the first half of this game is really straightforward. Not straightforward, but like it's pretty easy to see the flipping of control and why things are working and they aren't.
I feel like it'll be a lot easier to focus on beater play when Seeker comes out.
Yeah.
The chasers just have dog piles the whole time.
Yeah, literally.
It's pretty great.
You know, on Utah State's goal side and then on Cal's goal side, just flipping and everybody's looking at the middle. Ugh, it just cracks me up.
Watching the Seeker and beater game because it's really good.
It's really intense.
Telling the keeper walking the ball up.
Okay, I was just about to say that. Rude.
Passing it to Blake.
Blake, okay.
Yeah, we have Blake, Amelia, Kellen, and me for the chaser line.
You're 27, right?
Yes.
There you go.
Arden got running onto the field like that, definitely from Bottle.
Save energy.
I will say Bottle is nicer, personally in my humble onion.
Where's the
I think Cal still mostly has their starters on the field.
They do. They don't make a lot of subs,
They don't.
which is why they get so gassed at the end of this game. Fanning going right, per usual.
And then
That was
over.
I
yeah.
don't know if you had.
Oh,
Oh,
I think we're about to start to see Cal's first line get really gassed, which is why Utah's able to capitalize on it. The thing about the quaffle play in this game is that it's just like not super pretty, except for when Fanning makes those loady passes back to Maddi Erdall, but neither team is playing with a ton of ball movement.
The score was like 7-7 when the snitch
the end,
came
yeah.
out. Like that's really low scoring.
Yeah, and right now it's what, 4-0?
I think
3-0?
so, yeah, because no, it's still 3-0. So it makes
3-0.
no more sense.
Because that last goal wasn't good.
Yeah.
And also Cal, like I think the like moment you can really see when they lose their momentum is when Connor Hughes, number 8, is out on a yellow card and number 22, AJ, is out on a yellow card for Cal. So they have 2 people out on yellow cards, and then they can't get that energy back up and they don't substitute enough.
I know when that second yellow card came out, Utah State all noticed that and emphasized on that and really like used that momentum and that energy that we felt that they had lost and used it to help us build ourselves up.
That 22 should not have gotten a yellow card for that. Straight T.
Well,
If I was the head ref, I would have not have given that a yellow. That would have been a back to hoops.
I think it was on me. Like, I think he had come up and just went to tackle me, but I'd let the ball go, and he was still he was in the middle of running towards me.
You can see when that chaser is coming at you, Amber, you drop the ball and then he like realizes that and tries to stop, but it's like too late and he ends up crashing into you anyway. It looked like he felt bad about it, and like that just sucks that it's a yellow card, because me watching that like from the sidelines, like I can see him. He started that drive and then he has to stop, but all that momentum's behind him and like you're gonna hit the other person.
Yeah, it happens, honestly. I definitely don't think he deserved the yellow, but oh well.
I mean, it's still a penalty. I just like wouldn't have given a yellow for it. Because there are some people who really deserve that yellow card and don't try to stop, don't give a shit. But like when I see someone who's like trying to stop their momentum, like I'm not going to hit them with a yellow if they're like trying not to do that.
I think it depends a lot on the perspective of the ref too. Like some people are very by the books. I think especially this ref crew is a very by the books ref crew. Yeah. They're not even, when something is well intentioned, if it looks like a yellow, it's a yellow. I mean, that's a benefit of having a finals. You've got, a bunch of referees who've seen a lot of stuff. Okay. Who's that coming down the field? I'm sorry, I can't see anything.
That was Kellen.
That's
Kellen, yeah.
That's what I thought. That makes sense.
And then Doc recovers that.
Yeah, it was some good defense from Cal.
Yep.
Why don't you play the game?
What does this stop for?
Utah State has an interesting way of playing where Cameron plays the first part of the game and then Kellen has to go in, and then Cameron comes back in to play the rest of the game because Kellen's the only seeker. And this year it's different because there is no Cameron, so Kellen just plays the whole game as keeper and then subs out and goes in as seeker and doesn't have a break.
We give him like 1 minute. At like 15 minutes, we're like, okay, Kellen, it's 15 minutes. You get 1 minute. And we always use our timeout right at the right time, so that way he gets a little extra break.
I noticed that. Because I remember, y'all did that at regionals this year, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Because I was going to say he was playing a lot, and then I remember like a timeout being like right around like 15. That makes sense. Smart.
Yeah, we needed to because Kellen's all we got.
And then you had Liam Seeking in khakis from UCLA, a freshman. He tried.
What was this call? Do we know?
I think it was.
Is this the start of the double yellow?
It was.
Yeah.
I think it was a kickoff pitch by.
It was an illegal kick.
Okay.
So I think it was.
It was on Connor.
Yeah, illegal kick on number 2, Connor.
Yeah, this is when the double yellow.
Yeah.
So we're 10 minutes. So we're not even like we're only 10 minutes in here. That's not so much.
Yeah. This is a long game too.
Yeah.
It is a long game.
Oh, and Maddi Erdall with that strip. Insane.
Honestly.
That's point D.
Percy, no. Don't
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Ugh.
Do you want to watch that back?
Yeah, let's rewind that. I gotta disagree.
Do you want to watch it? Hold on. Can I put it in slow motion?
Oh, yes.
Please.
Yeah.
I love watching myself fall in slow motion.
All right. Oh. Here, wait, once more. We didn't get enough of it, I don't think.
Yeah, go back to like 15, like 38, maybe.
Oh, I can't see the time. Is this good? This should be enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Amber gets the
Amber
ball.
recovers. And then
You look right in the eyes of that girl and you make the smart play to go back center and she just rams. Yeah.
yeah.
It was a great hit by AJ. That's
Yeah.
AJ, that's me, I'm sorry.
She just kept sliding. Kept sliding.
And the ground was slick, so I'm sure that probably added to
Yeah,
it.
because you can her
You could
feet
see
just like
her
zzz,
tried to stop.
and then it just
Yeah.
the water just Amber takes the hit like a champ.
Like a pro. Yeah, I mean,
Later on, I ended up doing a cartwheel just for the fun of it.
I saw that. And that's
Yep.
smart. That's like so smart, is to like get rid of the ball right when you like at the very last possible moment to pull cards. Oh yeah. And whenever I recover a ball, I have my back like facing towards the person to pull a yellow. That's big brain wing chaser moves.
When you're small. I fully disagree with this card, but just in the past, and ultimately it ended up being great for you guys. So.
And so now Cal has 2 players in the box for a yellow.
Now the game turns completely.
Yep.
It really does.
I think at this point, I don't think Utah State scored yet.
Nope.
No, we haven't.
We haven't. Yeah, I think.
So now there are 2 players down.
And they can just take it right in.
But we don't.
Yeah, this is the stop.
Yeah.
You're
This is a
getting
big
closer.
stop.
You're getting there.
I mean, Cal just has like good man defense
Yeah, they had really good defense.
because they know they're losing a defender and a beater. That's rough. That's rough.
Time is 11:21.
Oh, I think Connor got released.
Sub this
and
whole
then
time,
subbed out.
Maddie. Has
No,
Steph or Maddie subbed?
No, well, we just had our first beater, so like Arden just subbed in because Connor came out of the box, but no chaser subs yet. Still Fenning, Maddie, and Eli on the pitch.
That was finally a stop on the Maddi pass, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Like,
beat
that
her.
was
like
right
the
there.
first times it actually stopped.
And
USQC gained control.
yep,
Mhm.
That was nice.
Bruin snap, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Arden's like one of the weaker Cal beaters, so
Yeah, he subbed in for Ivan, and now it's Connor in.
This is where having multiple drivers really helps Utah. Once they capitalize on Cal, which I thought was going to happen this time, and it didn't. But it will happen eventually. I know, like, once they start scoring, they like.
they hit a rhythm, and it's like back to back
Actually,
to
what
back.
happens in my notes, which means I know it's coming soon.
I think this is
And the flip is
close to the point where Amelia decides to run Fenning all the way back to keep her
Yes,
away.
I love this.
Yeah.
Get
We all
there.
tried to yell at her to get back, but she just really wanted to take him down, and it just did not work out very well.
But I mean,
also-
you're not that far.
And Ryan knows, like, if he takes that contact, they stopped because they were going to call him using a second reset, but he doesn't have a second reset because he has physical pressure. So, like, Ryan's just going to be like, push me back. I'll take, like, more space because he knows that rule. It's like,
And Amelia just was not aware of how that worked either, honestly. And so she learned.
I've been her. I get that.
And sometimes it's fun to just push someone.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I support her. Like, I would have done that.
I mean, you can see Cal starting to get gassed in their offense here, though.
The Fenning
Oh,
flip.
and that, the
Are we-
huge, yep.
Shall we watch it back in slow motion, friends?
Yes, please.
What I was gonna say is that the play before this, you can see like the Fenning Maddie connection is like getting weaker. Like he's making longer passes. Like her positioning isn't quite as good, probably because they're gassed, which forces him to make this drive,
Yeah, Fenning,
which is the
like,
best
starts
of the whole.
getting gassed and starts getting sloppy. Like, his passes, there's a few that are to Maddie that, you know, she's like 5'9" and jumping and like still can't even grab,
Yeah.
you know?
Compared to those first few passes at the beginning of the game that just float right over and she
Crisp, yeah.
crisp.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I might have gone too far with this, but we're gonna enjoy it in slow motion anyways.
Ryan driving to the right, as usual. And then Kellen.
Kellen with that flip.
It was still a great goal, and the fact that Fenning just stands right up after that is crazy, but it's so beautiful to see.
Yeah.
I could watch that honestly over and over again, but
If a bit, so.
Yeah, well, GIF is wonderful.
shall we? Do we know what the score is here after they do that?
I think it's 5-0 or 4-0.
Yeah. That sounds right.
Yeah.
All right.
And we're at probably like 15 or so minutes of gameplay because we're at 19 minutes of YouTube time, so.
And their chasers are still in. No subs.
That's what's crazy is they take this lead and they don't use it as an opportunity to sub out their like starting line.
Yeah.
And yet, pretty much all of us on USQC have already subbed at least once.
I mean, it's little things like that, like actually using your depth that
Mhm.
makes such a big difference when games get long like this.
I'd like to point out that USQC's done a good job of rotating through now who's covering Fenning. Like, we just had like 3 different people get beat, and we just kept rotating through who was covering him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, y'all are moving, like, the defense is shifting, like, in response to the offense, which is good.
Unlucky.
I think that's Eli that makes that goal.
Yeah, with like 2 defenders on him too.
Yeah. That's his second goal of the game, I believe.
Yeah.
The first being that one he scooped up from the beginning.
I think this is finally when we get our first goal.
I think so.
Well, Cameron subbed back in, so probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cam is
True.
driving.
Oh yeah, because he makes the short pass, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. And then Paul's wife
Yeah, it goes
insane.
This is the point I meant.
It was a pass to Paul, so Paul gets the first goal while his wife is recording, so we lose some quality there.
But yeah, the benefit of having multiple people who can handle the ball on a team it becomes very apparent for Utah State here. That and how gassed Cal's first line is. Like
Cal's passes are getting sloppier, and I feel like Utah State's are like
yeah,
getting
like was
better.
Fenning even fresher there, or did he just toss it? Can I rewind it back?
He was about to get beat by Anthony Snap, I believe, and so he just threw it back.
And it's like to no one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so beater comes and then he just like
So
throws
he just gets rid
it.
of it, yeah.
He just
Like
lobs it over.
a Hail Mary, and then I think Maddi tries to save it.
Yeah.
But ultimately gets beat, yeah.
But I think do we have control? Utah State has control, I think.
I think so.
Yeah. I couldn't tell if Anthony Snap had the bludger or not.
I was like, I need that little body turn, and then I'll like see the ball. Oh, and play is stopped for
timeout for Cal.
Okay, cool.
So it's Utah State 1, Cal 5?
I think so, yeah. Which is insane that this game ends up being a 7-7.
Yeah.
In range game, but you know, Utah State is just so good.
I mean, it's a low scoring game, and like it's an interesting matchup.
I
was just gonna say, I think like Cal not subbing is like really, really hurting them because they're getting gassed.
Agreed.
They're playing sloppier, like they're visibly sloppier than they were 10 minutes ago, and like it's showing, you know.
I feel like at the beginning of this game, they're kind of leaning on the fact that they think they're better than Utah State, and playing like not sloppy, but like they're not thinking too hard about it in the beginning of the game. And then, you know, they kind of take for granted this lead that they have, and then as they start to get tired, it just like slips.
Yep. UCLA had that problem for 2 fucking years, so.
It's a common issue, a common occurrence. All right.
And then
Doc doesn't. Oh yeah, and then Anna recovers the ball, and Anna scores. And then she does a little like jump on her way back, and it's so cute.
It was so cute. Yeah, I saw that, and I was like,
when we rewatched it after the tournament, because we rewatched the film afterwards to celebrate.
Of course.
Watching her do her little cheer, we all got so excited.
That's so cute.
I was like, I just love like, especially like a female chaser scores and they like get their little moment. Like, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Again with the long passes, for what? For what?
That was a shot. I think that was supposed to be a shot.
Like the shot passes, like
it's weak and it's easily blocked, and that happens like at least 5 more times in this game.
For someone who's got like such a name in this sport, I'm like, I just like, I understand that you're tired, but like
sub.
Not even necessarily sub, but just like play smarter. Like if you're gonna get tired, like
yeah.
you have to find a way to use your energy in a way that is more effective. Because there are players who can play whole games, you know? Like, he's not like an out of shape dude. It just.
Yeah.
Oh, so beautiful. Love it.
That was beautiful.
Oh, and I
Watch it
think
back.
I think
It's okay, watch
Snitch
it back.
has already been released.
Yeah,
It
Snitch
got
is
released a little bit ago.
Yeah, we saw Jared doing some dynamic stretches of this game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna watch that cam goal back again if that's okay.
Yeah, always.
I know Lindsay's like, if we must.
We have to watch him. It's fine.
I just want to see where exactly Cal's defense broke in this.
I'd also like to point out that I got all my names and numbers of the jerseys from Cameron. I texted him, I was like, hey, so I need the names and numbers. And he did it by memory while he was on the bus. He's just a
He
baby.
does love numbers. One time I was wearing my Trudeau Team USA jersey, and I was wearing like a flannel over it, and so you could only see the front number. And he was like, "Is that Tyler Trudeau's USA jersey?" And I was like, "How do you just have all their numbers memorized?" He's like, "I just like numbers."
I just like numbers.
Meanwhile, Justin Van Lyten can't even spell people on our team's name correctly.
Some of us have different skills. So there is the middle.
Connor's got a bludger in the center.
Okay, yeah, I see that.
It
And
looks like
Snap
on the
is
side.
hooking. Yeah, Snap's hooking around behind.
Mm-hmm.
And Drew's up top with
And-
Cameron.
And then, yeah, they don't have control for like a
Indeed.
second, and it's
And all he has to do is get through Fenning at the end of it, who's camped
Yeah.
right by the hoops, you know?
I'd like
And
to
then
point
you
out that
just-
Cal gets control from that play, but USQC still scored on it just because of the missed beats. Because they both missed their beats, I think.
Yeah.
and they're valuing control. Like they're like, oh, we have the lead, we'll take one goal because we need control more.
Yeah.
Like the thought behind that.
There's the
Now
Seekers.
are released.
And that's when beater play gets even more fun.
Yeah.
I have to be better at watching beaters. I'm sorry. It's in range now, right? Is it like 5-3 or something?
No, I don't even think so. I think
It's
there's-
5-2, right?
2.
5-2.
No, because there's Paul's goal, Anna's goal, and now Cameron's goal, so it is 3.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I forgot about Paul's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be.
Yeah, what genuinely I think sets this game apart is the fact that Cameron got a break and Fenning didn't. Because
Absolutely.
Cameron comes into this snitch on pitch and is ready to just drive and go and play, and Fenning is just tired.
Yeah.
And you can tell because like Fenning is not making any hits by the hoops. He's relying on his chasers to make the hits because he's too gassed to make those hits.
Well, and we see Maddi step up to defense quite a bit more during the snitch on pitch. But imagine how differently this game would have gone if they share that point a little bit more throughout the game. Or not even point. I mean, I guess she plays point more often, but I don't know. I'm just not the biggest fan.
Like Maddie has to hold down point because like if Maddie's grip goes, the beaters like aren't paying attention, and then the other two Cal chasers are marking someone. So once that point breaks, it's just whoever's driving versus Fenning who's gassed.
Yeah. And I mean, Maddi starts to get gassed too. Like, I mean, she's on the field the whole time. It's just a non-ideal situation for both of them. You know, you can't rely on two players to play an entire game. Or I think there's got to be more than just the two of them playing the whole game, right?
Also MJ or AJ, is it AJ or MJ?
AJ, 22.
Yeah, she hasn't subbed
Yeah.
out either.
Yeah, she has the
Yeah,
yellow card, but that's it.
And I
You've
don't
seen-
even think Eli subbed either. Is he
I
subbed?
don't think so.
I feel like I saw another chaser out there, but I could be mistaken. Also, I feel like I've seen AJ sub in this game just based on when I watched it last time. Because I was like, who's that other female chaser whose number I recognize? But that's just based off my past knowledge.
I think so as well, just because I remember being guarded by two different female chasers at different times. So I'm pretty sure that there's.
Yeah, maybe it was during snitch on pitch here, because you're out on the field right now, right, Amber?
I pretty much played the whole game. Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, and then another yellow card for
A yellow card for illegal.
Cal.
That's 13, Kyle Berquist. That's a guess. How to pronounce that.
Cal's beaters have like a notorious problem with either kicking off pitch or like kicking when someone's diving for it. They had this problem this year at regionals too. Like their beaters got more cards than their chasers, which is really weird to think about because it's a lot easier to get a card as a chaser.
I'm not sure I agree that it's easier to get a card as a chaser for contact. I feel like beaters play with a lot more contact than chasers do.
There's like a lot more cards that you can get for quaffle play than during beater play. Beater play has more blue cards than like yellow cards.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about, was just cards in general as opposed to
like there are a lot of things for beaters where they get blue cards, but there's only a few things that chasers get for blue cards.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I get it.
Like their defense is just falling apart. It's fending gas at hoops, Maddie Point, and then the other two people out here, and then their beaters are not there. So they just, Utah State just runs up the score.
Amber, do you guys always play with a dual mail set, or did you adjust your set to play Cal?
What do you mean?
Like, do you always play with 2 male chasers and then 2 non-male, or I'm sorry, 2 male beaters and 2 non-male chasers, or did you adjust the way that you play to play against Cal?
We actually didn't have any female beaters. I played a little bit of beater earlier in the season just to practice a little bit, but pretty much it was just the 3 male beaters that we had.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And that's pretty similar to Cal too. Like they like rarely have female beaters. Like this year, if like they had a male beater sub out, Dara would go in. Like
number 16 there. You're
Taylor Groth. Yeah.
She held on to that ball pretty well. It was good that Cameron could sneak in there.
Yeah.
Because we're at the point in the game where really just holding the ball sometimes is all you have to do.
Yeah, and Maddie is doing D.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know Utah State, we didn't want to give up the ball very often because we knew that if Cal had quaffle, they were going to score. Like, that's just how they play. You know that they're going to score.
That's good. That's the right mindset there. There is a point in here where a Cal beater gets a card. Well, actually, I'll talk about that later.
13 just got released like a minute or so ago.
Yeah.
Oh, well then I just wasn't paying attention. Never mind.
You're good. It was the second beater yellow. That did happen though.
I was just thinking about how the first time I watched this through, I was curious as to why Utah State didn't waste a little more time during that beater card.
As you can see, Utah State has the whole.
At this point, the whole West region is on the sideline. I realize now the commentator is saying that as I'm saying it. That wasn't intentional.
The entire West that was still there in like this 38-degree day when the field was starting to frost.
It was
so fun,
miserable. The weather was miserable.
I miss Quidditch, you guys.
I know. I'm eating so much protein over quarantine. I need to release my gains. I'm also seeking entanglements because I'm tired.
Amelia just scored. I think she does.
Should we go back? Let's go back.
Yeah, let's watch that.
You want to watch that back? Because I totally missed it, and I feel like it deserves more love. There we go.
Quick finish.
So that was, who gave it that pass down there? Was that Kellen?
Cameron.
Cameron speaking, yeah.
Yeah. They all look the same to me. I'm sorry. All men look the same.
It's also hard because the jerseys look kind of similar.
Also, the camera's following the snitch. Oh, there it goes.
Paul's now keeping. That's different.
Yeah, Cameron can only do so much.
I forget about that. Forget he's only human.
He is a human being.
Only do so much.
No good. But Paul has a big body to drive, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna shift to watching this beater play because I feel like I'm neglecting it.
For beaters for Cal, looks like it's Connor still, and I think Ivan may be back in, but I haven't seen him for a second.
Need to see his main.
Snap, it's Anthony Snap, and I think it's Drew.
Nowhere.
No, Adam's in.
Adam's in right now.
Okay.
Not the sweatpants. This was like Snap really going. Like this game was when I was like, Anthony Snap is very good at Quidditch. Like that was my reaction to this game.
So it's Kyle Berquist and Connor Hughes in right now for Cal.
Okay. Thank you.
And the snitch was down, so Kellen's catch was no good. But
Super down.
it was a good look though.
Yeah. That's just like happens with seeking, like, I don't know. I feel like that happens like all the time. Like you finally get like a good grab, but like the snitch is down. I don't know. It's like,
Yeah,
I feel like that happens a lot.
for sure, for sure.
Jared was such a good snitch to have for this game though, because it was so tight and neck, and Jared was not like playing any sides and is such a good like snitch that
Yeah.
the seeker was gonna have to earn this for sure. And the snitch on pitch beaters were just so on point.
It's now 6-6.
He lasts for almost 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're on I think we're on first handicap right now with the snitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and we're back on
It's getting
play
laggy.
currently for an easy fanning goal.
Yep.
So that makes the score
60-40.
40?
40. Okay.
I think it's 60-40.
Yeah.
But
But
I'm not 100%.
that sounds right. I feel like our confusion about it is pretty
Yeah, no, I think Utah State stays just below like a tie game for a while. So 60-40 sounds correct. That's what I have on my paper. So
okay. Yeah, I feel like
with goal.
our confusion about it is pretty representative of where the priorities in this game lie, both in the person who's videoing it and the way that we're watching it. Like, it so becomes about seeker play so quickly, which like obviously happens all the time.
It's just crazy though, because Cal had a lead. For the first 10 minutes, Utah State hadn't scored, and then they
The
managed to
just
score
deteriorates so quickly.
so fast. Yeah.
It's like so common to happen. It's just kind of crazy to see it happen in like a regional championship game. You kind of expect that when teams get to this point, they've got a little bit more of a plan. But I guess that's what happens when you rely on specific players as opposed to working as a unit, which I think is an issue that Cal faced in this season.
And also at nationals too.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's like if you watch this game and then you watch like them play like Texas, Texas figures it out so fast.
Exactly. I was just that's like what I was saying. Like same thing happens. Like Fenning gets gassed faster. That Maddi Erdall connection is severed way earlier, and they just get trampled.
And it's unfortunate because like when they're on, they're on.
Their game against NYU is like insane.
In a game against NYU, they also get up out of range and don't sub out Fenning or Connor, and then they go into their game against Texas, and Fenning and Connor are wiped out. I was actually just watching them midnight about this, and Ethan is like, I don't know why they played these players this whole game, because they played but went to the next game and didn't have a lot of energy left.
Same Ivan and Eli too, because like Eli was like those two were like especially on fire for that NYU game, and then for the Texas game, like especially Ivan, because he's like so crucial. Like in my opinion, he's probably their best male beater, and he's like super gassed, and he goes into that Texas game and he gets like completely shat on. Like the only game we've ever seen him look that bad because he was so gassed.
Yeah, it sucks because you love to see a West team go far, and but just with a team like Cal, they're good because of the way that their specific players play, and when they don't have that, they're not built to adjust the way that a team like Utah State, who has a smaller roster, you're forced to do that. You're forced to adjust and you're forced to rotate because you have 12 players, and if one of them gets hurt or gets injured, you're fucked. So
they got better about that this season,
yeah,
because I remember playing against them at regionals. They subbed like a lot more. They subbed like it looked completely different than this regionals. Like all the chasers rotated several times.
All right, now we've got Anthony and Drew, which I think basically stays the same way for most of the rest of the game.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they finish off with them two playing.
I love everyone on Utah State on a very deep emotional level, which everyone knows, but like Drew and Anthony won this game for Utah State. Like if y'all did not have the way that they locked this stitch on pitch down, there's no way.
Well, just having the energy to just take a second step to juke Fenning out. It seems like it's so small, but just the fact that he couldn't block that is.
I'd like to point out that all 3 bludgers were on the floor, and Drew was smart enough to grab one, roll one back to snap, and then grab the other one, leaving.
Yep, a great play.
And
It's
then
about to be dog pile time.
Here's the dog pile.
Dog pile
Taylor
time.
This
Groff.
lasts forever because the beaters are just
and like Ryan's pass to no one ends in this, and it will happen again.
This is the best thing that could happen to Utah State here because you don't get gas doing it. You know, like once you guys can capitalize on Cal being tired, and then you don't have to keep drilling it into them, like because you've got that short roster. This game could have gone very differently if they had somehow been able to keep pushing you guys.
But AJ like holds it down. Like that's respect for sure. She's like on that ball.
I think that happens just like a minute later on the other side.
Yep.
Where I just lay there on the ground, and I don't even know who was on top of me, but
It's just bodies. Yeah.
I hate when this happens. I hate when dog piles happen during snitch on pitch. I feel like it's so boring, and I guess maybe it's because I'm a quaffle player, so I'm a little biased.
Yeah, I actually asked Cameron during the stoppage that happens during the other dog pile if I could just let go of the ball and so we can keep playing again, because I just didn't want to just sit there and hold on to the ball.
I guess as a player, I like it because it is advantageous as a player on the field to have the quaffle play essentially stopped so that beaters can just focus on the snitch. But in terms of like actual gameplay, it's boring to watch. It's not representative of like the power of the teams as a whole, unless one team is like severely dominating. Ooh, I saw that cartwheel dominating in like quaffle play, and then they like want to break.
I love it, but I love it if I'm like holding the ball.
Because that's the thing.
Like
as a player,
I love that.
I will lay here, but as a spectator and like as a fan of the sport, I'm like, can we make a rule against that? But like, don't. But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I live for it. I live for that shit. Because people are always surprised because like I'm really small, but like I put the ball here and then the broom's on top of it, so I'm holding all of it like this. So they'll like be trying to grab the ball and they'll lift the ball up and I'm still holding on.
Listen, dude, as a mediocre female chaser, one of my top tier skills is just holding the ball and not letting anyone go. So I feel you deeply. It's one of my top 5 Quidditch skills.
Because like Jonathan's so strong, and like he would do that in practice. He would pick the ball up and I'd still be holding on to it. Like,
see, the difference is when I do it, they just can't get the ball from me. With you, I could pick you up by the ball. I don't think we could do that.
But like I'm still affecting play because I'm holding on to the ball.
It's great. As a depth player who often goes on during snitch on pitch, it's a valuable skill to have.
Cameron has ended up with the ball over there.
Okay, where are the beaters? Everything's going so fast.
Yeah.
It's a really quick moving snitch on pitch.
Yeah.
It looks like
in terms of beater play, in terms of quaffle play, like meh.
yeah. Snap and Drew still have control.
This is when Paul's in as seeker because he's giving Colin a little break.
Yeah. I was gonna say he just like makes Jared tired also, because like he's not ever getting close, but he's really big and like making Jared have to like even if he's like not getting close.
I think this is when Fenning subs in as seeker also, and we've got Ivan as beating for Cal. This is when I like think is the clear move of Fenning being like, I've just played this whole game, but I trust myself and I want to go win this. And I'm like sad for him that he doesn't pull it off. Obviously I'm not, because it's Utah State that wins.
Yeah.
But like you can tell when you're like a captain and like the keeper that's played this whole game, you only sub into Seek when you are like this needs to end and I know I can do it, and it sucks if he couldn't.
Yeah, but also part of that's kind of selfish in a way, just because
he was doing okay, but like Fenning gassed got way closer than their other.
I don't feel bad because I think that's a selfish move to be like, I'm the only person who can end this game. And maybe it's just because I've only seen it from like the outside of it. Like maybe if I lived it, I'd feel differently about it. But just like from an outside perspective, when I see someone who's absolutely gassed, who's like, no, none of you go in, like I can do it, I can end this game, I'm like, yeah, no, okay. And sometimes they do. Sometimes that's effective, but in this case, it's not. And so it just feels like a selfish move to me.
Yeah, but like to be fair, like Helmet Boy, like that's what we called him, like on Cal, like Fenning's attempts gassed are better than the other speakers'
that is-
attempts. So it's like
you're correct.
and
It's
like
just-
Fenning almost grabs it. Like Fenning gets like really, really, really close to catching it, and then Kellen like grabs it. It just sucks that it has to come to that your roster isn't deep enough that you can
Because
have
they
other
have a full
seekers.
roster. That's the
Like-
thing. That's the suckiest thing about Cal is that they have so many players. Like, I wonder how many people on Cal didn't touch the field in this game.
Most.
11 of them.
And not to say that those people would have been better than the people who were on the field tired, but if you even just take like a minute, 2 minutes to put your depth in and give, Fenning, Maddie, AJ, whoever a break, that could be a game changer. And we'll never know, but
Yeah, and that attempt that Fenning almost had was like really close, and then it's about to be over. Yeah.
There it is.
Yep.
should we watch it back?
Yeah, let's go back a little bit to watch the beaters on this play. Let's talk about an actual breakdown of what just happened.
Okay, I went really far back. So we've got Kellen in for Utah State.
And we have Adam and Snap beating, and they've got control.
And they've got a dog pile on the other side of the field.
Yep.
Waffle players are chilling. So is this a Fenning catch that's no good?
No, he just gets really close.
Okay.
He I thought he caught it, and then it wasn't in his hand, and I was like,
Gotcha.
sir.
So Fenning's off broom.
Yes.
Yep. And then
Oh, both seekers are beat. Okay.
Right hand side of the pitch.
So Cal still has Connor and Ivan in as their beaters, but the Utah State beaters have control.
yeah, and
I think
Ivan
On the ground, 3 on the ground.
yeah.
Yeah, Connor has a bludger.
So Cal
No,
just
Ivan
the
has a
advantage here in
bludger.
terms of beaters.
Yeah, so Cal had control, and then they just lost it.
Yeah.
And then Ryan gets close, but Cal doesn't have control at this moment.
Fenning is taking a break and gets beat.
Yeah,
And that's
and
all
then
the
beaters are
Cal needs, right?
scuffling.
Yep. So if we watch that back, Fenning is just chilling and gets beat. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he just makes a dive and then is kind of slow to
He's recovering.
It looks like he's looking for his beaters to make a plan, and then as he turns, Snap comes up with the beat, gets out of the game, and then it's just an open lane. I don't even know. It looks like Ivan comes off screen.
Yeah,
So
because
it's
the other Utah
Yeah.
State beater was engaging with Ivan, so both Cal beaters were away, and then Kellen comes in.
So Snap takes him away. Adam's kind of just hanging out, ready to go with Ivan, and then Kellen makes the grab.
I mean, sometimes that's all you need, though. It's pretty clean. I mean, it's
Yeah,
I love watching Snap hype up the crowd.
insane that you I mean, what a good moment.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so that was the game.
Hold on 1 second. Okay.
I'm hoping that the video quality for the viewers will go well. I know on Amber, Dana, and my end, it was a little blotchy, but if we're recorded on Martha's, so fingers crossed that it will be able to be seen normally and not as choppy as it was for us. You want to go over your points that you had discussed about your wrap-up points? This is a great time to do that.
Okay. Something we talked about a lot during stoppages and even when the game was rolling was the way that both of these teams use their rosters. So we mentioned in the beginning that Utah State has 12 players on their roster and Cal has 21. You would never know watching this game. Something that we talk about a lot in this game is the way that both of these teams use their rosters. So Utah State has 12 players on their roster and Cal has 21. But watching this game, you would think that it's flipped because Cal really only uses finite number of players. Players like Fenning and Maddi Erdall stay on the field pretty much the whole game, whereas Utah State is really good about bringing in their depth, what little depth they have, flipping between Cameron and Kellen and really stretching out what they have so that they get to snitch on pitch without having a completely gassed team. So that's my main takeaway from this, and that's why I think Utah State won.
So something I noticed a lot with beater play is that Utah State kept up the pressure even though they had no goals. So it didn't feel like that to us, but they were constantly going back and forth with who had control. And especially during snitch on pitch, Utah State's beaters were good about distracting the Cal beater. So even when the Cal beaters had control, the Utah State beaters were still engaging with them. And because they're distracting them and taking them away for the seeker, that opened them lanes multiple times that Kellen was eventually able to capitalize on. So even though both teams were working with 3 main male beaters, Arden came in a little bit, but like not much, and like played badly. So like even though both teams had 3 main male beaters, Utah State, I think, was thinking more big brain strategically, not just focusing on beating the person. They were focusing on distracting, because when Cal had control, especially for like snitch on pitch, they were worried about like hitting people with their bludgers. Whereas like Utah State, if that beater didn't have a bludger, then they were hitting someone trying to get the bludger, and Cal's team didn't do that as much. I think Utah State kind of upped them on the beater play strategically.
I'd like to point out that with the play style offensively for both teams chaser-wise, Utah State usually goes for the pass off to the female chaser right by hoops who dunks and scores. And Cal was very good defensively about knowing who to guard to kind of avoid that from happening. And so we did have to do quite a few more drives than normal. And Cal also has a very similar offense where they pass over to Maddi or Eli, I believe is his name. And they just continuously use that play. And Utah State's defense couldn't really cover that well, but that connection between Fenning and Maddi and Eli just got weaker as the game went on, and Utah State emphasized on that.
I did not watch this game previous to these moments that we sat here today. It was my first time watching it since I watched it in person. And I think for me, the biggest points were the fact that, like, during snitch on pitch, all of the Cal beaters are very good, but you can just, like, see between Adam, Snap, and Drew that, like, they are hungry, they are fast, they are smart, like their beats are really calculated. Everything that they're doing seems very intentional. Sure, they're like a few slip-ups, and now I'm going to rewatch this at like normal pace and not have it be laggy and really like have more thoughts on it, but it doesn't matter. But I think that was really like from my perspective the biggest thing that really set them apart, because even though Kellen caught so late, he had so many looks that if he had caught like he could have caught earlier if Jared wasn't such a good snitch, and Cal didn't have as many looks as Utah State did, and I think that was a huge differentiating factor. Part of what I'm curious about though is I don't really know the depth of Cal. Like I don't, like there's a bunch, I have 21 players on this list in front of me. I don't know most of these names. I'm curious on if it would have been more productive for Fenning to sub out, or if they had put in their second string keeper, who I don't even know who that is, if that would have even helped. Like, because I don't know what their depth looks like, and if their second string keeper is really that not helpful on the field that it would have led to just kind of losing the same amount of goals anyway. I hope not, and I don't think that.
No, it's not, because like I know this Cal roster like really well. Like TJ O'Hanlon is another keeper they have who's bigger than Ryan.
Okay.
He's literally bigger than Ryan, and honestly like is a more successful driver than Ryan. So Ryan's like really, like Ryan can drive and pass, and he definitely is better at passing. But for somebody who's big and can just drive, like TJ can do that.
Did TJ get in this game at all?
No.
He may have been the person that subbed in for Fenning when he went
when he
to
was seeking.
Yeah, I think he was at the very end, because I think he's the one who was in the dog pile with me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That drives me insane.
I don't know why he didn't sub Ryan to keep, because like he's a good keeper. And like their female chasers are good too. Like Dara and Catherine Condit didn't go in, and they're incredible. Like it just doesn't make sense to me.
I've been on the big Catherine Condit hype train this past season. I didn't know who she was, and then we played Cal at Red Bull, and I like asked like the next day I did betting, and I was like, who the hell is number 95? I have like never seen or heard of it before, and she did so well at Red Bull. So yeah, no, I don't think I didn't see many other females enter the field other than AJ and Maddi. And I think there's no harm in giving your all-star players 2 minutes of rest if that makes them all-star players for the whole game.
Yeah.
Also, when they're up 5-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're up 5-0 and they don't sub. Like
something we talked about earlier, which was what I had just watched recently on a midline episode, is how very similarly to this, Cal was up playing NYU and kept all these players in. And it just seemed clear that during their finals run that they just like were trying to get as far as they could, but weren't thinking about the next game. And when you're not thinking about the next game in a finals run like they had, they're going to lose the stamina of their top tier players when they're up a game. And that may be like, who knows? Cal could have won a national championship during NYU. They gave Fenning and Connor and Ivan longer breaks, but
yeah.
I mean, I will be the first to admit that I was a pretty anti-Fenning person for a bit of my life, and Fenning knows that. But now I've played with Fenning now. He's come to a few Lost Boys practices, and I've been I can speak for most of the Lost Boys that we were very pleasantly surprised with how
with you.
and wonderful he was to play with, and everyone was like, why did we never see this? So I don't know what we're missing. I don't know what about Cal has it set up this way, but I don't think it's any one individual who's making these decisions that's causing this. I think it's kind of how their leadership has been layered for the past few years, but I would have loved to see more of their players enter the field.
Yeah, I think that it's difficult, especially at the college level, because the turnover is so quick. You come in as a freshman at the age of 18 and, you are like, oh, well, I'll try this fun sport. And, you've got 22-year-olds telling you what to do. It's really hard for a college program to break these tropes of using a single ball carrier and using not enough chasers to catch and finish. We've seen it in so many college programs unless they have a non-playing coach who's been through the program and who plays at the club level and can say, no, you're good, but you need to take a break and, you need to do this. And with a program like Cal, because they have always been kind of good, it's easy to just keep that cycle going. And I think that the reason that we liked playing with Fenning, Lindsey, is because he works better as a part of a system than as
and loves to pass to his non-ball chaser.
Yeah. I loved playing with him when he came to our practices because he passed to me and he talked to me and we I felt like we communicated really well, which is so shocking to watch back on this footage. And granted, it's the past, that was over a year ago at this point. So obviously he's grown as a player since then. He's 21, 22 in this footage. It's a different time. But the difference between that player in that footage and the player that we played with at Lost Boys practices is astounding to me, because I feel like he makes a lot of very, I don't want to say egotistical decisions, but just he thinks more about what can I do? And this is my team and I have to fix this problem, instead of how can I communicate with the people who I'm playing with to make this better as a whole? And
how can we solve this problem?
Exactly. And that's the kind of growth that you see when players go from the college level to the club level. I know that it's growth that even I saw, and I've never been a pin player in anything, but just the difference between playing for a college program where you've got, your juniors and seniors running everything and you just listen to everything they say, and a club program where you've got players who've been playing for, 3 years or 7 years, and, the people who understand the sport the best are the people who are in charge.
And it's also interesting for me because I was at both of these regionals to see how Cal has changed so much, because Cal at this regionals, they were subbing all the time. They weren't running this main line where nobody subbed. When we played against them, they subbed more than we did.
That's great. Then they've grown and they've learned, and
so it's we
great.
love growth.
I love
and they beat us at a range that game because they subbed, and some of us didn't, at myself, but.
All right. I would love to hear your MVPs for both teams. It can be any player that you saw and noticed. It does not need to be a female. There's no non-binary players on either of these teams. So no, it doesn't need to be a female player because that's not the point. But any person that you think really stood out, I would love to hear what you think your game MVPs are.
For me, it's quite easy. For Cal, it would be Maddi, because even though Maddi and Fenning were in the same amount of time, she had more stamina and scored at least 3 of their goals. So scored a decent amount of their goals and also did more on defense than any other chaser. And then for Utah State, I would have to say probably Anthony Snap, because I think his beating strategically won them that game. He had really good looks and destroyed the Cal beaters with brains. Or Drew, I don't know. Anthony and but yeah, I guess I feel like Anthony made more big brain moves, but Drew also made big brain moves.
My Cal MVP is definitely gonna be Maddi as well. pretty much for the same reason. She has great stamina. Trying to defend against her is like impossible, and she has such crisp like goals that are so perfect. And then defensively, she is such a huge threat. My Utah State MVP, I'm saying Drew for this one. Definitely the beater pair of Drew and Snap can just, if I just put them together and say that they're the MVP, I would.
Yeah.
I know that we are not supposed to be picking female or non-binary players just because we're all female, and I would like to make it very clear, or we're all non-male players. I would like to make it very clear that we did not all pick Maddi Erdall as our MVP because she's a female chaser. We all picked Maddi Erdall as our MVP because she's the best player on the field for Cal in this game. Hands down, easy choice, especially watching her shake defenders. And like, I know Amber, you mentioned having to defend her, but even just like watching it back, unless they're putting like a point defender on her, like it's so hard to touch her. And like, is it like playing against other college teams? Just like, she just breaks away so quickly. I'm the president of her fan club. What can I say? Maddi Erdall for life. So that's an easy pick. And then my Utah State MVP is Paul, who I feel like was kind of like an unsung, like second to every ball carrier that you guys had out there. Big guy, could drive through people. I just kind of felt like he was a constant, and like you're cycling through, like Cameron's great. And like, we know Cameron is great. I'm looking at Lindsay's face and I know that Lindsay knows that Cameron is great. And you can give Cameron your MVP because he did do a great job this game. I just feel like Paul played big minutes. For someone who isn't a name that I would know, you know, I was like, wait a minute, I should know this name, you know, because he really stepped up and scored goals and made assists and like played almost the whole game, maybe the whole game, correct me. You know, so just a player that I hadn't heard of coming in like that is impressive and deserves snaps.
Very consistent, which is really
consistency.
important.
Consistency. It's important. Whereas other players are like playing a bunch of positions and like doing this and that, and he's just like there and doing the thing that he can do.
For me, I have to say Maddi. Like it's just subjective. Like there's no, like you can't watch that game and say that Maddi was not the most valuable player on Cal for that game. I do think Connor is a really close running second. I also don't know how, like I would be really curious to watch Maddi play without Fenning, because so many great keepers are great because of their chasers, and so many chasers are great because of their keepers. Like I know if I play with a certain keeper, if I play with Cameron, I have a great game and I score a bunch of goals, and it's always a great time. When I play,
I relate to that.
Keeper, yeah, if I play with a keeper that we don't connect as well with, it can affect the game. So I do contribute keeper success the same way I contribute a chaser success. Like Maddi has to get those passes to be able to score in this. So I'm curious to see how she would play without a keeper like Fenning, who she obviously has a ton of chemistry with, but Connor did not sub out much that game. He played a fantastic game. I remember watching that game and just being in awe of the beaters, like period, end of story. For Utah State, my initial reaction is Cameron, but one time Cameron said to me that the reason that Utah State won that game was because of the sideline cheers and how it kept up their energy, and I ran most of those sideline cheers, so I'm the Utah State MVP for that game. No, not really, but he did actually say that, and I will die on my tombstone and thinking about how I contributed to the Utah State win for that game because I helped with those cheers. But I do, like, I've already spoken about the beaters of this game. I know they're amazing, but I think Cameron is really the glue that held Utah State together for that game. It is not his best game. He knows it. He actually texted me during this game, and I was talking to him about this while this was all going on, and he was like, yeah, that's not my best game. And I'm like, I know, but you're still it's still a great game from you. So he's probably still my MVP with the acknowledgement that all of Utah State held their. I think, did you score that game, Amber?
That is the one game I did not score during regionals.
Okay,
but every other female chaser scored during that game.
So if you have a game where 3 out of 4 of your female chasers are scoring, that's
yeah, that's huge.
I love that. I live for that. So huge fan of everything that Utah State did that game. The fact that they won a national championship with 12 people on their roster is just crazy. I'm so curious if that's been done anywhere else.